Greetings. Welcome to episode 111 of C3 Crystals, Cauldrons, and Cocktails. I'm River,
And I'm Ren.
and today we're going to talk about time magic. There are so many aspects of time involved with magic. There's a lot to talk about. But first, what are we drinking?
Yes.
So, as many of you know from our social media, I performed my first hand fasting ceremony with some friends over the weekend, and I hosted a brunch and had some really fun mimosa type drinks. So,
Yep.
this one we're calling the Autumn Tempest, and it is sparkling wine, white grape juice, white grape vodka, and then white grapes as a garnish. It is so fun. It's a little bit strong because it's got both champagne and vodka in it, but it
Uh-huh.
is lovely. I love it.
Yeah. So we were there too, my
Hmm.
husband and I, and it was a lot of fun. But part of your brunch that you had set up was a whole mimosa bar.
Hmm.
And my husband turns to me, and he goes, I didn't know I liked mimosas this much.
I missed that. I was too busy, I guess, hosting to know. That's neat.
Yeah. He had so many because you had a variety of juices for the mimosas. So he
Hmm.
started out with the normal orange juice, but he put like all the fruits and stuff in it. He was
Hmm.
like, "This is so good." Then he moves on to you had apple cider out for apple cider mimosas, sort of like our like what we have a drink
Yeah, we
similar.
had a drink, and that's where I got that idea from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, "This is amazing." He would put all the fruits and stuff in it. He's like, "I love mimosas."
What about I also had a Bloody Mary bar with it had bacon and shrimp and pickled okra and all that. Did he try one of those?
He did. I made him a Bloody Mary
Hmm.
and I put bacon in it and like your like little additives
Hmm.
and he didn't like that one as much. He's not a big tomato
Oh,
juice
yeah, I think
fan.
you've told me
And
that
I know you
before.
used the different he you didn't use just like normal V8 or whatever. You used like Zing Zang or something like that.
I did. Yeah.
And he's not a big fan of tomato juice things. And so he just ate the bacon on the side.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, the bacon disappeared pretty quick from that
Very
station.
quick. He was like, go pretend you're making a drink and grab me a piece of bacon.
That was fun. Our friends had a really good
It
time. The
was
hand
it
fasting
was really fun.
ceremony, I think it went really well, especially
It
given that it
did.
was the first time I did
It
it.
went
So,
very well.
so
Yes.
that was fun.
Yes.
That was very fun. Okay,
It was.
let's
Anyways,
talk. Well, let's talk time magic. So we've done some episodes dealing with time as far as magic goes.
yeah.
So we've talked about the timing for spell casting, like the time of day. It's better to do certain spells in the morning, some at midnight, some at midday. We've talked about time as far as the days of the week, which day of the week is best for which kind of spell. The time of the year can also play a
Yeah.
role. And we've done seasonal episodes about seasonal magic. So go look up those if you're interested in that kind of timing as
Do you
far as
know our
magic goes.
specific episodes that we talked about those in?
No,
Oh, I don't remember
no,
either.
I didn't look it up.
Okay.
There's also time in how long it takes for your manifestation to happen.
True.
Once you cast your spell, what is the timing on how long it takes to have your event that you've hoped for happen?
Yeah.
And that is also something that's different. From the time you cast your spell to the time that it manifests. And sometimes it never does manifest because you've made a mistake during your casting or you weren't in the right frame of mind.
Yeah.
Like, I do jar spells and those are pretty much immediate, at least when I've done them for myself. I don't know the
Yeah.
ones that I've done. I've did a calming one for your anxiety. Um, and I don't know how fast it helped you,
I
but
think it worked for a little while. The duration of time for which it worked was only short.
see, and that's another thing about time. How long does it last? Like
Yeah.
I recharge my bottles in the full moons, and depending on what the moon phase it is or what the spell is in the jar,
Yeah.
so there are also, when you're talking about time travel spells. that could be moving backward or forward in time, whether spiritually or mentally, or I suppose physically, although we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
And then there's things about changing the flow of time, which I thought was interesting. We'll talk about that later as well. Teleportation spells, which is interesting. I wish I could teleport.
Me too.
And did you know this actually might sound like the plot of a sci-fi time travel movie or something, but it's an actual fact that human biology, our brains do not perceive events until about 80 milliseconds after they've happened. So there's a fine line between the present and the past. We never realize the present when we're in the present. We're always in the past. We're 80 milliseconds behind all the time. There is no such thing as now, scientifically. Isn't that the coolest?
I think that's pretty cool. Because, I mean, when you think about it, past, present, and future are all happening simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I have a thing with time.
Yeah.
And how we try to understand it. Yeah.
Too in a minute.
So, yeah.
But let's focus on time magic as not the timing of the day, a week, and seasons, but the other kind of time magic. So what you have a definition, I think.
I do. It's like a brief, like wiki type of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So it just says that time magic is a concept that refers to the use of magical practices and rituals to influence or manipulate time. So this one was talking about the manipulation of time. Okay. And it is part of occult and esoteric. I think I'm saying that right. Or esoteric.
Esoteric. Yeah. I think I came across that too in my research.
Traditions that explore the boundaries of human consciousness and the nature of reality, which with reality is a whole nother topic.
A whole different topic. Yeah, I found a definition. Well, kind of. It says time magic is more of a loose term for manipulating the flow of time in any way, shape, or form. And it sounds fantastical in nature, but it's actually a very common phenomenon that you might actually be doing unintentionally through magic. You know, when you cast a luck spell, for instance, you might be manipulating the future when you cast a spell. And any kind of manifestation spell, you're hoping for something to be changed in the future. And so that is also a thought of what time magic is.
Yeah.
And then
my problem with that though is like it's the understanding of, is the future already set in stone and you're trying to manipulate what will occur, or is it that you do that and that's what's meant to happen, or etc.
Yeah. The idea of time being linear. Wow, this is a really good drink. Linear is an illusion that's human made. And we've talked about this before. We go down rabbit holes about time all the time.
Yes, we do.
All the time.
All the time.
But we perceive the future to be changeable by what we do in the present, and the past to be set in stone and unchangeable. But that's not necessarily so. There are theories out there that time is not linear like we humans tend to think it is. Mm-hmm. Also, magic does have limits. So it's not like you can go back and change history in a major way, at least not how we understand magic and science at this point. It may be something that science, and just think about the things that we do now in the past would be seen as magic. And so it may be that in the future, there will be time travel and, not just through the energy manipulation, but physical time travel.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
So I came across this cool blog. He had some really interesting things to say. Mm-hmm. Before I get into that, do you have anything else before?
Well, let's see. I would say I am going to talk a little bit about the history.
Oh, yeah, let's do that first.
Okay, sure. So let's get into it. Mm-hmm. So the concept of time magic is deeply rooted in ancient mystical and philosophical traditions. While it's challenging to pinpoint a specific start of a time practice, if that's what you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, if I am kind of still sick, kind of.
Yeah, this season's been terrible.
It's like I recovered from the last sickness, and then now this one's like a new one. So if I sneeze, cough, or whatever, just ignore it. Anyways, so it's hard to pinpoint where time magic starts because time conceptually starts at the beginning, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just going to break it down like how we usually do, where we start with ancient civilizations and work our way down. So many ancient civilizations, such as Egyptians, Greeks, and Babylonians, had a keen interest starting with astronomy and the cyclical nature of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so their mystical like practices often incorporated the movements of celestial bodies, the changing season, and lunar phases, reflecting on a connection between the natural world and the concept of time. So in the ancient civilization, like in these civilizations, they basically tracked time and movement of time through astronomy and nature cycles. So like spring, fall, winter, summer. Those were all out of order.
And I get they were. And I guess astrology also came to be in the past back then.
I would say that's probably where it starts.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what can you do in those ancient civilizational times other than stare at the stars? You know, they had no light pollution like how we do today and all of that. So, I mean, that's what I would be doing. I would be staring at the sky and tracking the stars and the movement and how these stars are different each season, you know, because we spin and all of that.
Yeah.
But then we get more into the Hermeticism and alchemy. I don't know if I'm saying it, but I think I am. And so Hermeticism and esoteric kind of go together. With their philosophy and traditions. And so a lot of this era explores the mystical aspects of reality a little bit more from ancient civilization understanding. I know I'm using a lot of big words. Just stay with me.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of times when we go down these rabbit holes about time, it kind of makes my mind hurt because there's so many possibilities, which I love that. I love our talks that we do that. It's like a what if this, and this could be this because of this. And I mean, it's so fun.
Yes, but it does hurt just a little bit.
Yeah, it hurts our brains.
Yes. So, I mean, this era is basically just working on how alchemists are influenced by the Hermetic system and principles that were created in like Egypt, Greek, Babylonian times. And then they kind of took that and started involving base metals like gold, silver to achieve a spiritual enlightenment. Now stay with me. So with these like metals, gold, silver, copper, all it may be, they use this in their work to involve the symbolic interpretations of time and the eternal pursuit of the Philosopher's Stone, which I know we've talked about. And this, in a way, is where they sought after immortality or a way to control time.
Interesting. Yeah. So was there more history?
A little bit. Yes. And so
go ahead.
Go ahead. Let's hear
Well,
your
I was going to
thoughts
say,
and stuff.
the way that you are talking about it leads me to this blog that I found, but it's more in today's world than it is.
I will get into today's world a little bit. So then we can go off of that.
So
now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So now we get into Renaissance and the occult revival. So we know how it died down. We had, let me think. I don't think we've had the witch hunts yet in Renaissance time, or this is like when it's kind of building back up.
That's when it's coming, isn't it?
Maybe.
Well, the Dark Ages. I don't know. I am not a history person.
I'm kind of am. We've talked about this for so many times. How can we not remember? But anyways, so
it couldn't be all the alcohol.
Oh no. So during this time in the Renaissance period, there was a revival of interest in ancient mystical traditions that had kind of died down. And so
isn't it funny how, I'm sorry to interrupt, but isn't it funny how that keeps happening? Because remember when we were talking about I don't know, I think it was the 30s or whatever, where even the people in the White House, it was long before that, where people in the White House were having, it's like it goes up and down, the
Yeah,
interest
I
in
mean,
the occult.
trends really do ebb and flow, and
Mm-hmm.
they never go away fully. They always
Mm-hmm.
come back. And I feel like fashion is one of those things that you can be like,
That's
oh
true.
yeah, what is it? The bump in the hair is back, and the flared pants and all of that,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like that also happens with religion or belief systems in a way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so in this era, they kind of have adopted the Heratism system that was prevalent beforehand and added a little bit more to it, exploring the relationship between humans and the universe. So now, instead of just time, they have lumped in the universe to it too.
Okay. Which that
So
did take them longer to realize there was a universe, because
it
forever
did.
they
And like,
didn't
I feel
even,
like
yeah.
this era is also where they they discovered that it was a gosh, I can't, it's not a heliocentric solar system that we have. We have a no wait, I'm getting it. No, we don't have a geocentric system. We have a wow.
Been a long time since I
Heliocentric
was in college.
system.
I remember those words, but I don't remember what they mean.
So this is okay, long short. This is the discovery where the universe didn't revolve around us. We were just a part of the universe.
Okay.
Okay. So we discovered we go around a big sun or a star. And then from there, we were like, whoa, the star isn't the center. We're not even anywhere near the center. Where is the center, etc. And so from that, you go, well, then what is time? Because we on Earth have the idea of time of we map it based on how many times we go around our sun and day and night.
Yeah.
And so this era saw the rise of various secret societies and magical orders and all of that, where they incorporated time-related symbolism and rituals into their practice based on what they have been discovering about the universe. And so part of this was the elixir of life. Have you?
I have. I thought that it was kind of related to the Philosopher's Stone. It's immortality.
It kind of is. So they kind of dropped off on the Philosopher's Stone and then picked it back up with the elixir of life, where this elixir of life is a substance believed to grant immortality like the Philosopher's Stone.
Okay.
But this is it's like a completely different object. So I feel like, I mean, I don't know.
Elixir sounds like it's liquid, whereas the stone sounds like it's a rock.
I get vibes like it's in like a vial type of thing, and the stone is a stone. So I feel like these are two different things. Now, if they do exist and you combine them together, who knows what you're going to get?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah, but the quest for the elixir was both a physical and spiritual endeavor, symbolizing the alchemist's inner transformation and the mastery over mortality. So I feel like the elixir of life is more of a symbol than an actual thing. Because this is where they actually sat down and dug deep within themselves, a spiritual journey.
Okay.
I'm almost done, I promise. So then we hop into the 19th and 20th centuries. So here is where we saw another resurgent of interest in occult and mysticism, which is kind of where we are today, but we're more in the 21st century. But this is what leads into more organizations forming groups. So one of them is called Order of the Golden Dawn, where
I've heard of that one.
Integrated elements of astrology, astronomy, tarot, and ceremonial magic into rituals and all of that to kind of manipulate time in itself.
Crazy.
Now, to say if it actually worked, I'm not sure. We could talk about all the ripples that time can make.
Yeah, that's a whole side effect of doing time magic.
Yes. And then now we are into modern day. So in contemporary occultism, particularly within the New Age movement, which is what we are called apparently, and various branches of modern witchcraft, time magic continues to be a topic of exploration based on throughout all of history, we've always been super interested in time, where practitioners may use techniques such as meditation, visualization, sigil magic, or ritual work to connect with a specific moment in time, which could be an influence of personal timelines or gain insight from past or future events.
Interesting.
And now I'm done.
Okay. So I found this blog by this guy. Where did it go? Rob's Magic blog.
Okay.
I
like that.
And he says, suppose we need money. Say we need $500. So we devise a spell that will make us super lucky so that we can win a small sum in the lottery. He says this is absolutely doable. He says, typically when we create and cast this kind of spell, we make it so that it happens at some point in the future, like tomorrow or next week. But he says if we really wanted to, we could also cast the spell so that we won the lottery yesterday or last week.
Oh, that's trippy.
That is trippy. And then he said, it is, of course, more difficult to change events that have passed than events that are yet to come. So it's better to cast that lottery winning spell in the future.
Yeah.
But that is not to say it can't be done. And he said, in fact, most of the difficulty involved in casting a change in the past is due to our own perceptions about how time works. Is that what you were going to say, that it's our perception?
I was going to say, as soon as you said, like, we could have won the lottery in the past, I instantly thought of, like, the whole timeline changing. But I feel like it could also be as simple as, like, you bought a lottery ticket and then put it in your pocket, forgot about it, like, quote unquote, forgot about it, and then found it in your pair of jeans or whatever you were wearing. Be like, oh, last week I won the lottery. That's cool. So I feel like it could be anyway like that.
That's true. He said the same way that the ideas of distance and space are largely an illusion that you look at metaphysically, he said, so is time. Time is not how humans tend to perceive it. He says, we perceive time as constantly moving forward, the past as being unchangeable, and the future as being completely changeable, which gives us our chance to exercise free will, which a lot of religion is based on the concept of free will. Christianity is, anyway.
Oh, okay.
But time doesn't just move backwards either. He says, just like space, it can spread out in different directions. You're not just going forward or backward or in the present. He said it's just, you can go in many different directions. So we could go to points in time that never even existed in our own timeline.
Oh.
So, yeah, very strange. He was a little trippy.
But where does that timeline come from? Like,
well, I don't know.
Can
He said it's all constantly
without
there.
being made? Like, can things just happen?
I think he thinks that they're already there.
But from where? Where did they come from?
Where did the universe come from?
Okay, there are so many theories on where the universe came from. And it's like, who was first, the chicken or the egg? Your mind always hurts when you think about it. And so time gives me the same thing, because we think of time on a earthly plane and not in a universal plane. Does that make sense? Like, everything outside of this planet, there is no time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a total human construct.
There is no time. So you're just still, but then what happens to the human body when it's out floating in the universe?
And there's all time. Everything is time, and nothing is time.
Yes. So when you think about it, it's hard to categorize like that. And so he's like, oh, there's another plane, but where did it come from?
I think he thinks
my human flaw. Where did it come from?
Yeah. And I think that is a human flaw that he's trying to say, because of the way we think of things, we can't fathom. And that's what part of the problem with casting time magic spell. The limits are our own perceptions.
Or endless.
Yeah.
Like, there could be things we don't even think about, like consequences, quote, consequences, that we don't think about because of what we think that it is.
So can you change the past or future? And the different places now, I don't know if I'm still in Rob's blog or someone else's notes that I had found. They said sometimes personal changes can be made. Small changes are easy and can be done without any kind of problem, no time manipulation, side effects, so to speak.
Yeah.
He says manifesting a book, getting a small amount of money, getting a girl to go out with you, that's magic that cast into the future or past is fairly easy to pull off, he says. But drastic life changes are more difficult to get through. He said, so like making it that you live longer or winning the lottery or get married are very difficult things to do, even with magic.
Okay.
And he said, we have our own destiny and we're moving on a path. This is that theory where it's all kind of set out for you, which takes away free will. But he says, when we veer off the path that has been laid out for us, the road tries to move us back to the path that we're supposed to be on.
Okay.
He says, so you might be able to make it that you don't die next Monday, but then you end up dying Tuesday. You can't change. The universe will find a way to put you back on the path you're supposed to be on.
Okay.
And in this particular theory, he said, more often than not, the magic fails, or it succeeds, but then retroactively fails. And a lot of that is due to our perception. He said you might actually win the lottery only to have the event erased, and then you're left not even remembering you won the lottery.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's trippy because like I could have won the lottery based on a spell I did, but I wouldn't even remember it.
This makes me think about the Mandala effect.
Very true.
So
I love the Mandala effect.
Maybe that was actually magic someone cast, which caused ripples that made some of us remember something and some of us remember something else, because part of reality was changed for specific people, but not for other people.
Yeah.
So they say if a witch is very aware of themselves, aware of the universe around them, they can sometimes manage to remember the past how it was, not how it is. So like the Bernstein Bears or the Bernstein Bears. Sometimes when things are remembered differently, it's because they actually happened differently.
Or the Monopoly dude with the monocle.
Yeah, with the monocle.
He did have a monocle.
It still freaks me out to see him without the monocle.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he had one. So was that not the Mandela effect? Maybe that was because someone cast time magic to a point that caused a ripple that some of us remember, it changed for some people. Yeah.
It's interesting.
And then supposedly there is a way it's supposedly simple for people to speed up or slow down time. So they can
that's a good one.
So that time passes faster or slows down.
Yeah.
So that would be time manipulation. Before I get into that, do you have anything else?
I do not.
Okay. I know you've got a lot of notes.
I'm just going to talk about how to incorporate it respectfully into your practice.
Okay, perfect. So, because I'm talking mostly theories and different ideas and concepts out there, which made my mind.
You went down the rabbit hole for your notes, and I was like, I'm just going to stick with the basic facts and knowledge.
It was so much fun to do this. Okay, so time manipulation, condensing time speeds so that it either speeds up or slows it down, could have a bunch of uses, just like you were saying. Oh yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
So this article said, imagine having a sigil that you've prepared for this, and to activate it, you just tear it, just like we've talked about. You can burn or tear, you somehow have to activate the sigil. And then, that could change time as far as speeding it up or slowing it down. They said all you need is a piece of paper, a pen, and that's pretty much everywhere. You can do that everywhere.
Yeah.
So that if you're bored in class or at work, you can condense your perception of time. And then before you know it, class is over. Or if you're on a really nice date, or you're having a really wonderful evening where you're wrapped up in your little blankie and watching Netflix and you just want to keep it there forever, you can do the same thing to make time slow down.
Okay.
Now, I found this concept to be very interesting. It doesn't really sound like you're changing time itself, but rather your perception of it. Because sometimes when I'm busy and I'm
Well,
at work and I'm working really hard, time seems to be going fast because I'm busy.
yeah.
And if there's nothing to do at work, it's like it's just dragging on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm wondering if it's just that this sigil is all in your mind as far as you're not really speeding up or slowing down time. It's your perception of it.
Yeah. I mean, I used to see, I feel like there's a lot of things in my head. Wow. So I feel like growing up as an adult now, I feel like my time is just fleeting away,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's going by way too fast, even if
Mm-hmm.
in the moment, like I'm at work or whatever it may be, and I'm like, oh, like I want to leave. I still feel like time is going by super fast, and I'm not even getting to be able to I'm not being able, wow, I can English. I'm not able to do things that I want to do in a whole day because there's
There's
work
too
and all
many
of that.
things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as a kid, I used to think that time was so slow. I used to
Mm-hmm.
be able to do what I wanted to do on a day-to-day basis. Even though I did have school that I had to go to and all of that, I was still able, to do a lot of things even after school. But
Yeah.
my time, like how I perceive time now, it's like I don't have enough time. I don't have enough of it
And
right now.
so is this type of magic that he's talking about affecting is it manipulating
Manipulaba
your perception, or is it manipulating physical
time.
actual time?
That's the thing. I don't think that we can actually manipulate time.
And to me, if we could, that could be a problem. So say, his example of being in class and it's boring. If you speed up time, then you're missing out on things.
Yeah,
You're there
you're
in
missing
class
crucial
for a
information.
reason. Yeah.
Yep.
And you've paid, like for college, you've paid to be there. So
Yeah.
speeding it up just because you're bored you're not going to get out of it what you paid for.
Yeah. Have you seen the movie? Well, I haven't even seen it. My husband has, and he's like, that's a good movie. Watch it, but we haven't been able to find it anywhere for free. So it's the one with Adam Sandler where he has like the remote and he can pause time.
I think I might have seen that. I don't know.
It's giving me something like that where you pause time. Sorry, I'm congested. Where you pause time. Wow, I can't get through the sentence. One more time. Where you pause time and he can move around while everybody else is frozen. Okay.
There was a Stephen King short story with that same concept, although not Adam Sandler, who's funny.
Yeah.
This was scary.
It was like a satirical in his part, like
Mm-hmm.
funny satirical, but he could also speed it up. But around him, it would move around, but he was still perceiving it in real time, like real time.
Oh,
I know that's
okay.
but everything was going fast around him. So that's when this comes in where it was like, you could just speed up class if you don't want to. So I'm picturing like this, like, okay, remote, boop, 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 oh, done. And then you just stand up, even though for you, a second passed, but everybody else, like an hour passed.
And what did you learn in that hour if it just passed in a second?
Exactly. There's nothing there to gain from that.
And I don't like the idea of throwing my life away either. I mean, that may be because I'm older now and kids don't think this way, but if I'm speeding things up, I don't want to wish my life away. I want to make sure.
Yeah, I want to go as slow as possible. I want to spend the time that I have here on this planet with the people that I love.
Yeah.
So I mean, time is also relative, but we are also bound by time. Like there is no way we can get out of us dying slowly every day as we gradually get older.
Yeah.
So time is manipulatable, but not.
And maybe it is, but would we want to? Do we really want to go down that road?
I mean,
one of his examples was, say you had a really horrible day today and you want tomorrow to be better. So you just do a little time manipulation spell so that in the future and tomorrow you have a positive day. And I'm like, But is that really a spell, or is it your perception?
Yeah, your
So
perception and like how
I'm going to
you
have a better day tomorrow. And
go
you
into
manifest
tomorrow.
what you say, and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
manifest what you think. So, uh, which is magic, honestly. But I don't think
yes.
it's changing time.
No, I feel like that. Yeah, I mean, you could say you're going to have a good day tomorrow, cast a spell, whatever it may be, but I think it's all about mindset as well. It's our
And maybe that
minds.
helps you get to the mindset
Yeah,
where you
yeah.
can actually do it. But I don't think we're changing
I don't think that's
time.
changing time.
You know how we have different, we just went through daylight savings time, and I'm
Oh,
still trying to get used to it. But until the 19th century, oh, this is a did you know, by the way.
okay.
Until the 19th century, towns and villages synchronized their clocks to the local solar noon, so the noon wherever that town was.
Okay.
So this created thousands of local times, and that varied according to all kinds of, you know, just one town over was going to be 5 minutes off. And so transportation was what caused this to change. It was a
Oh,
nightmare for the trains to depart from different cities. They would have to list all these different departure times and arrival times based on every town 5 minutes apart from each other.
I could see where that would be
Yeah.
chaos.
And so on November 18th, 1883, railroad companies in the United States and Canada began using a system very similar to our standardized time zones that we still use today,
Huh.
all because of mass transportation, which I thought was kind of cool.
That is pretty cool. Did you know? I have a did you know? Did
Okay.
you know? It has nothing to do with time, but did you know the reason why we have houses that are numbered and everything is numerical? Like you enter a neighborhood, you're like, okay, this house is 100, the one across the street is 101, next door
Mm-hmm.
is 102. The reason why we have that is because of the Victorian era. Queen Victoria wanted everything to be organized and neat and know where everything was.
Oh, how funny.
And so the numerical like order of how we do houses and all of that is from the Victorian era.
That is so cool. But it makes sense, because how
It
would the
does.
mailman know
Yep.
what house to deliver to without those,
Yep.
numbers?
Yep. So it was sort of like a way where they had a system like that where they were delivering things and instead of however they did it back, they started using numbers and now we just kept it today.
That's so fascinating. So
Anyways, that was
another,
not a time thing, but
well,
yeah.
another time thing that you could possibly use time magic for is to erase bad memories. I have
Hmm.
different thoughts on this as well, but what they say is that imagine performing a ritual to cloud a memory of a bad thing that happened to you. Maybe you keep beating yourself up over some stupid mistake you made like 3 months ago, or even me when I was a kid. That bully, I should have said
I
this
should have
back to
said
him.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I do this all the time. I do that.
Me
Oh, I
too.
wish I'd said XYZ.
Me
And
too.
then you drive yourself crazy over it. So,
Mhm.
writing and performing some kind of ritual to shove that thought from your mind or erase it altogether can work in your favor. But I feel like we all are where we are because of the
What
past
we've
that we've gone
learned
through.
based on
Yeah.
our
So
experiences. Yeah.
if you take away that moment, and now I am better at arguing or making, not arguing, but making arguments, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is because of all the times where I was like, oh, darn it, I should have said this. And it helped me
Uh-huh.
learn. So if I take that away, am I no longer going to be as articulate? Which, y'all, I know it doesn't sound like I'm articulate on this show, but I
We're
promise you, in the
this
real
is
world, I'm
our
much better.
this is our comfort zone where we can go
Yeah.
and
Yeah. And
misspell and
with each
say
other,
things
too.
and all of that. Yeah.
It's so
But I
wonderful to
mean,
have
it's completely different when we're in professional
yeah. Yeah.
settings. Go ahead. Sorry.
Right now, we're each other's partner in crime. So,
Yeah.
but
So we're completely comfortable. God damn it. Like we can say all the things we want to say.
yeah, I don't want to get fired at work by saying that, but
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But the next topic is, after talking about can we change time travel. So
Okay.
this is the theory that you can either physically or spiritually travel through time.
Okay.
I'm not sure that physically is even possible that we
See,
know of.
I mean, we have pictures of weird things of like, oh, we have time travel. Now, again, the pictures could be altered, they could be manipulated, they could be fake, blah, blah, blah.
I
But it's
have
still cool to hypothesize.
My brother has a cool theory, which I will tell you in a minute what he
Okay.
thinks those things are.
Okay.
So, if possible to travel, if it is possible to use magic to time travel, it would take an enormous amount of energy. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think a single individual person could come up with the amount of energy it would take to do that. I think it would have to be a whole bunch of witches together, maybe as little as a coven, but
We
probably
could
a
go to
bunch of covens.
get a whole coven together, circle around an electrical power plant, and then boom bam.
Yep, it's possible, possible. But I think
Hypothetically.
spiritually traveling back and forth is definitely a potential, possibly something that we can do. And after all, that's really what divination is. You're looking in to see the future, to talk to spirits and divine what the is going to happen in the future. So that is kind of time traveling
Mm-hmm.
in a spiritual, mental sense.
Mm-hmm.
But my brother's theory, he said that every time we see a UFO or have some kind of something that doesn't belong in the time frame that it was found in,
Mm-hmm.
that what it is these are actually people from the future who are coming back to watch certain events, kind of like a history class. And
Oh.
so he says that what these things these people are coming back to observe us and watch us, and they can't change the past, but they come to view it. So yeah, he's weird. I don't know that you've met my brother, but anyway, he's an odd duck,
Interesting.
but that's his thought, is that UFOs are really, and that accounts for the pictures that we have of these flying objects or things.
Yeah. I mean, I was specifically talking about the one where there's a person in the crowd at the assassination of which president? The one
Was
who
it
was in the
JFK?
car. The one in the
JFK?
car? Maybe. Yeah,
Yeah, Kennedy.
JFK.
Yeah.
Yes, Kennedy. And there's a picture in the background of a person holding their hand up, and it's authentic. It was authenticated, blah, blah, blah. And it looks like a smartphone, and they're in normal street clothes of like today's street clothes, like a
Crazy.
collared shirt, like it was a man with like khakis and like modern day like Nike shoes on, and they were holding a device that looked like a cell phone sideways and taking a picture or whatever it may be, a video, whatever it may be. And like the video, I mean, the image was authenticated, like it wasn't manipulated in any way. It was like, but people are like, why does he look like a modern 21st century man in this video or photo of a assassination of
What was
Kennedy?
that Michael Crichton book? They made it into a movie. They changed the facts, and the book was much better. Michael Crichton, scientist, brilliant writer. He had a story, I think it was called Timeline, where these uh what do you call it, graduate students were doing research on this potential time travel, and they found this wormhole that was able to take them back into the time way back in the past in French history.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them lost their glasses back there.
Oh,
And so in the future, they find these glasses, and when you did the carbon dating on it, they were that old.
uh-huh.
But it was something they didn't even have. There were no such thing as glasses like that back
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
And so it was a conundrum. And they're like, how could this be? It's that kind of thing. So maybe time travel is happening all the time, and we
Maybe.
just don't know it.
And we just don't know it.
And maybe it's magic that does it. And
And
maybe,
yeah,
rather than science.
and maybe like the Mandela effect is like little ripples of that, and maybe we're branches off in timelines where, we don't even know that we're being branched off, and our
Yeah.
actual history is all the way over there, but we're in this timeline because someone messed with it.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
entirely possible. I did find a spell online that you can actually cast to manipulate time, or
Oh,
to
okay.
time travel, I should say.
Okay.
And you take a watch, and you put this watch on, and you say the following spell 3 times. Gods and goddesses, bless this watch for me. Make it give me the power to time travel. So let it be. When I am wearing this watch, make it let me time travel when I say the following words. Let me time travel to the place and time in my mind, then thinking of the place and time, the time and place I want to travel to. Do this for me, please, please, please. And you say that 3 times.
Okay.
And then at the very end, you say, by the power of 3, so mote it be.
Okay.
And this is supposed to be, she did this spell on her blog, and she's like, y'all let me know if it works. And me, I like rhyming things. So for me, it wouldn't work anyway, because I have a hard time putting intent to something that is not rhyming, which makes me weird. I know. But it also reminds me of that the Charmed series, the original one where they traveled through time physically. Remember when they went back and met the witches of old, their ancestors, and they learned what the brooms meant and what apples really meant to, all those things. I love that episode.
I remember that.
But it reminds me of that. And it also kind of reminds me of Hermione and her time turner in Harry Potter.
That one hurt my head when I was little. I was like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, and let's talk about shadow work again for just a second. I know we keep coming back to it in every one of our episodes.
Everyone is rolling their eyes.
But a lot of the, thought about going back in time to fix something that went wrong on a personal level anyway. I mean, there are trains of thought about going back in time, killing off Hitler before he could rise to power and become the maniac that he was. And
but I feel like, okay, so let's say we are on the path where things are supposed to happen like that. It would have just been somebody else.
And that's what all the articles I read would be. Okay, it wouldn't be Hitler then, but that party would still rise in power. And all of the horrible
they would
tragedies.
have a different,
Yeah. But usually people don't, when you're trying to actually do magic, we all know that we don't have the individual power to do that kind of change. So it would be more like trying to change something personal in ourselves. I wish I could go back so that I never punched that guy in the nose because it, did horrible things in my, I went to jail or whatever. Or I wish I didn't drive drunk that night or whatever. But rather than try to go back and change something that you did, which has led you to be who you are today. I mean, I guess there are people that are unhappy with who they are today and might want to do that. But I think maybe you can use this time manipulation energy and shadow work. Think back on what it was that you did that you're so horrified that you did that you wish you could change. Use that in your shadow work to move forward and heal from it. Heal from what it was that you did. Come to terms with what it was you did. Acknowledge it. And say, I'm going to make my future better. You can change the way you're judging yourself through shadow work.
Yeah.
So, I also found the term. Did you come across the term retroactive magic?
I don't believe I did.
So, retro active magic. It's a little bit different than time travel, but it talks about theoretically changing the past. And there was this guy named Peter Carroll, and I don't know if he's still alive or not, but he wrote a book called Cyber Magic, and it's PSYBERMAGIC. And he talked about trying an experiment to see if you can manipulate time. So wait until you've lost something. And then rather than conduct fruitless search after fruitless search, try and trick your subconscious into believing that you actually put the object in a particular place and you actually want to find it. And if you have to, you can even use a location that you've already searched. But in this case, you'll also need to make your subconscious recollection of yourself placing the item there, as well as the recollection of searching there already, as hazy as you possibly can. And then with using some kind of powerful distraction, they said anger works really well. Go to that location and retrieve the lost object.
See, whenever I lose an object, I always just blame the Fae. Sorry.
Which I think is a possible thing.
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
I'm not kidding either.
Lost objects. I lost my chapstick, right? And I have a cold right now, so I am dying for some chapstick. Okay, so my husband and I were out driving, and I wear a fanny pack. What a nerd, I know. It's like a crossbody bag. Let me tell you that. It's a
Mhm.
cute little bag, okay?
Mhm.
And so I always keep my chapstick in my bag, but I literally took everything out of it. It wasn't in there. I put it all back in. I have my keys in one pouch and my phone and my wallet in the other one. So I reach in to grab my keys out, and my chapstick is sitting on top of my keys.
Crazy.
On top of my keys, not underneath my keys, like where I just like didn't see it. On top of my keys,
Where you had already looked.
where I took everything out.
Yeah, I have that issue too, where I will swear, my hairbrush, I know I put it here because I remember distinctly putting my hair up in a ponytail and laying it down right there, and it won't be there. And then the next day, I'm like, it's sitting right where I left it.
Yep.
I think that's the Fae as well.
Yep. And let me think, what else? This has happened a couple of times. My phone disappears all the time.
Oh, well, that's just me. Mine
Well,
disappears too, but I can't blame
I'll
the Fae
put
for that
mine
one.
down. Yeah, I know. I'll put mine down, and then I get up and I walk around and I go back and I'm like, oh, where's my phone? I know I didn't grab it, but I have a handy dandy little Apple Watch and I can ping it wherever.
Nice.
And so now I think they've kind of given up on grabbing my phone because I have a little pinger.
I have to keep my sound off because I'll get in trouble at work if I have it on. And
Yep.
so I tend to just keep it off. I don't remember to turn the sound back on when I come home. And so I am constantly losing it. And it irritates my husband to no
Well, you
end.
should get an Apple Watch.
I like that idea.
Because
Honey,
you don't
I need an Apple Watch.
Yeah, for real. No, but you don't need to have the sound on your phone to ping for it.
And
To
I
look
need a
for
new
it.
journal.
Yeah, I need
Okay,
an
that was
Apple
just
Watch. I
off
need
the
a
topic.
journal. I need some more crystals. I need
Yes.
a little bit of
Oh,
everything.
did you guys see her TikTok that she put on our it came out, I don't know what day this is.
I don't
Is this
remember.
early this week? I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't
But
remember.
she got some cool stuff. So go watch that TikTok. I'm in
I
love
did.
with all of your
You
stuff.
should see in the beginning of that, I'm currently dehydrating some flowers. Drying out some flowers, same thing. And they look really witchy and cool. When I was hanging them up, I was like, yes, I'm in my like witchy
Element, your kitchen
element,
witchery element.
like the zone, but those aren't the words I'm looking for. Like the what's the word I'm looking for? No,
Vibe? No.
it means all the same thing, but it means more witchy. I don't know. I just felt so cool and like I was utilizing all my knowledge that I have in witchiness because I haven't been able to utilize any of my witchy stuff. And it was fun. Anyways, sorry, let's talk about time.
Let's get back on topic. So I found another blog. It was a gallery of magic blog post, and it was called "The Past Can Empower Your Magic," and it was by Damon Brand, and he wrote, "Magic works through both directions in time. A successful ritual must affect many factors to bring about even the most simple result. To change your current or future reality rapidly, the change must usually begin at some point in your past. And you can use this knowledge to enhance your magical results. However," he cautions, "when I say that magic works on the past as well as the future, it's important to know that this does not mean that you change history. The events that have happened are set in stone." So he's of that theory. But when those events occurred months or weeks ago, they may have been affected at that time by the magic that you're casting now.
Okay.
So what happened in the past might have been affected by the spell that you're casting right now. So you might have changed time, you just don't remember it.
Yeah, that's very true. I like to think of, in this case, of the what's that show? What is it called? Outlander.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Where she goes back in time, but she is embedded in time, like, so that was supposed to happen. Like those events with her going back is a part of that timeline, which I think is cool.
The history that already
already happened. So her going back didn't change anything because her going back is a part of that time. I just like that.
Yeah, that kind of bends my brain. Because I read one article, it was interesting. It was talking about, so say you go back and kill your own grandfather. Okay, well, that would be stupid. But say that you do, what theoretically happens? Do you then cease to exist? And if you do, how could you ever have been born to go back in time to kill him? So he never would have died if you couldn't have been born to go back in time to kill him.
Yeah, I feel like there would be like a loophole there where you would just have a different grandfather at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like somehow
Well,
time would mend itself and you would,
maybe. And
maybe
there's
somebody
another
who was supposed to die, in place of like your grandfather, instead your grandfather died and that person was it then your grandfather. You know what I mean?
There's also a theory that if you do something like that, you cease to exist, not physically. You're still you, but your whole history is changed. No one knows you. No one knows who you are. Your mother doesn't know who you are. You're outside of time and space because of that change that you made. You're still here and you're still in your time.
Yeah.
But no one knows who you are.
Yeah.
That's
I could see
another
that
theory.
too. Yeah.
I have a story, but I don't know if you've got stuff before I get into the story.
I guess it's basically everything we always talk about, where ways to incorporate time magic,
Okay.
You can start by studying various traditions and practices related to time magic, read books and articles and online resources to gain more comprehension and understanding of different perspectives and techniques of time magic. I feel like we're not helping because we're like, oh, but what if it's this? Oh, but it could be this, So read a book or something.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many theories out there. It doesn't mean that we're wrong with our theories. It just, there's many, many,
there's
many
so
theories.
Many. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with picking one and believing that and going with it,
Yeah, which I feel like is a huge part of magic. Your intent and your belief is essential for your magic. So
yes. And then you want to also practice mindfulness and present moment awareness since we are dealing with time. So one aspect of time involves appreciating and fully experiencing the present moment, which
even
I will
though
say
it's 80
I have a hard
milliseconds.
time with that. Yes.
Even though it's never really now, it's 80 milliseconds ago.
Yes, I always have a hard time because I feel like I'm living in a hazy bubble, especially right now since I'm sick and nothing feels right and my vision is kind of blurry. I'm living in that type of tunnel moment. I'm also highly stressed and all of that because I don't have a job yet and all of that. And so my husband and I were doing various side jobs and stuff to have money coming in. And so I feel like I'm in a time of chaos. So my physical moment isn't actually physical right now. And so whenever I do have those moments where I'm like, whoa, I'm here. How did I get here? What the heck is going on? I know how I got there, but at the same time, I didn't know how I got there. It's just been a whole bunch of fuzz. So when doing time magic, you need to be fully in the present moment and aware.
Yeah,
and
for
then
sure.
You're going to want to create rituals or ceremonies that are specifically designed to work with time energies or timelines or whatever it may be.
And your personal magical path.
Yes.
So, because what might work for someone else won't necessarily work for you because that's not what you believe. Yeah.
Yes. So this could be aligning your rituals with specific lunar phases, planetary hours, astrological events. You could do this by using candles, crystals, symbols, or other correspondence related to time. You could, if there's a way that you want to add a tool, you could add a little watch or pocket watch or something like that. That's a physical representation of time. I know there's other ways to represent time, but that would be one idea if you're wanting to incorporate it as a tool. We've talked about the sigil magic, where you can utilize a sigil for certain techniques, and you can create a specific sigil for your intentions related to time and what you want to do with it. And then I know we've talked about these, so I'm kind of spitballing. So you can also do divination with time. So use divination.
Which I feel like divination is time.
Yeah. So you can use tarot cards, runes, scrying, to gain insights on your past, present, and, potential futures based on what you believe.
I mean, that's exactly what a tarot draw, the basic tarot draw is 3 cards.
Yep.
Past, present, future.
Yep. And so I mean, all of these have symbolism and meaning associated with time related to imagery or whatever it may be. So you can add that into your divination practices. You can also, I feel like this one's also a big thing for me because when I think of time, I think of the astral world. So you can explore time in your dreams or in your astral work, where you gain kind of like astral projection, where you gain insights into your relationship with time.
I've thought about astral projection too, but for me, I've always thought of it as being in the now. I never thought of it as traveling through to a different time.
I've always thought about astral projection in the way of like you're leaving your physical body with a tether, but you can go anywhere you want.
Time-wise too?
Time-wise too.
I have never thought of it that way. That's interesting.
I've always thought, and I feel like low key, like Sleepy Rin or whatever you want to call her, she astral projects, but then present day Rin has no clue of what happened, So that's how I see it. Like, I feel like the astral realm is like this fuzzy, hazy, purple, glowy realm.
And that's what we were talking about.
Like, I don't remember being there.
I
know I've been there.
Didn't we do an episode?
Yes.
On astral. Okay. And that is where dream journaling comes in.
Yes.
And you start to then recognize the astral realm. The more you immediately wake up and start writing, that helps you start to be able to recognize it. So that makes sense.
I don't astral project on purpose.
Right.
So I don't remember.
But when you immediately wake up,
I don't remember anything.
Even when you first wake up?
Nope, nothing.
I'll remember and go, God, that was a weird dream. And then 5 minutes later, I can't remember it. So if I am cognizant when I first wake up and go, God, that was a weird dream, I write it down immediately.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I feel like the astral realm to me deals with time. Like there's no time, there's no physical place in the astral realm. So you can go anywhere you want, physical or time being.
That blows my mind, that thought.
I feel like I've done it, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't remember on purpose. Maybe Astral Ren is like, yeah, nope, she doesn't need to know this type of stuff because it'll like turn her world upside down. And so we're fine right now. But on that, you can also do ancestral work with, what are we talking about? Time magic. My brain is foggy with time magic. And so you can connect with your ancestors, especially with your ancestors and given time. You can gain wisdom, like past wisdom related to time, like whatever it may be. And I like this one. It's pretty cool.
I do too. Because I never, I've always thought about ancestors and but I've always thought of it in terms of right now. They're helping me right now. But they came from the past. And so are we meeting them here?
Or are we meeting them there?
Or
are we their ghosts?
Oh, I wonder.
Interesting thought.
That's crazy.
I like thinking about that.
Me too.
Yeah, that we're not talking about ghosts though. So
no, different episode.
Yes.
So which we haven't done yet.
No, we have not. So you can also use it with numerology and numerical magic, where you can explore the significance of numbers and their connection to time and what you want. So you can offer insights in your your life path, cycles, and timings.
I want to hear what our patron Jessica thinks about this. She is into the number thing. So after she listens to this episode about time, I would be so curious to hear from her as to whether she feels numbers are related to time.
In any way. Yeah. And then I would say, lastly, experiment and document. So with whatever it may be that you're working with,
you need a journal.
You do need a journal. It could be astral work. It could be ancestral work. It could be dream work. It could be divination or sigils or, creating your own rituals or mindfulness or whatever it may be. Or even if you have basic studies that you find interesting and you want to keep that knowledge, you need a journal. You need to document your experiences, your experiments, your observation, whatever it may be related to time magic. And then as you, as a scientist, experiment and come up with hypotheses and test your hypotheses and understand what your variables are and all of that, then you can reflect on the outcomes of your rituals, your outcomes of your divination sessions or meditations. And over time, you can identify a pattern and develop a deeper understanding of your relationship with time. And that's all I have.
That's crazy. Well, I have a story.
Okay.
And I think I found it on Reddit because you know me, I love Reddit.
You love Reddit.
And it was a story about a man and his wife they had been leasing an apartment forever and loved it. but they had these neighbors move in who were really loud and unruly and very unpleasant.
Okay.
And they complained to the landlord, and the landlord tried to talk to them about it, but there was nothing legally that could be done. The tenants weren't doing anything illegal. And the landlord tenant laws are actually favorable to tenants because society has, you don't want landlord, crime lord people. So there wasn't anything he could do. And so the couple researched and looked for other places, but they had been living in this place for so long that they didn't realize how bad rent had gotten out there in the real world.
Yep.
But they put a lot of time and research into looking into options. They had pets, so they had to find a place that was pet friendly. They had to think about, okay, what exactly are our needs? And then they decided, let's use magic to help. Nothing is working. We're having all these issues. So he did a tarot pull.
Okay.
And he used the tarot cards to work magic that was focused on helping them achieve specific outcomes in the future. And he said, this is where the retroactive magic, the time magic, came into play. He said he couldn't change the past of what had happened, but he could use the past to open up opportunities in their future that weren't readily apparent before.
Okay.
So he said, I could take everything up to that present moment, the experience, emotions we had felt, and turn it into that raw magical energy that could take a probability and create a path of manifestation. And he said that's what he did. And the result was they found their new home. They got out of the old place even sooner than before the end of the lease. They didn't have to cover utilities or anything. Everything just lined up the way it needed to for them to get out of there and get where they needed to go. And so he felt like time magic was what helped him get to that point. And the way he did it was through tarot, but not just tarot. All of the energy from what happened in the past was what gave that spell the power.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting example in real life of someone who has worked time magic and it worked for them.
Interesting. See, I like that. But then also, what's like the difference between like casting a spell to make everything line up versus time? Like I guess you could use time. Like here's a timeline that I need this to work on, and then it works within that time frame. But also, you could just cast a spell and say, I need this. Hypothetically, I need this, and then it's happens.
I think what he was saying is that it was the power, the raw emotion from the past that helped power
I see that now.
spell,
I see that. Yeah.
As opposed to just sitting down and going, hey, we need a new house. Let's cast a spell.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that.
It was all of the past that gave fuel to this spell that he cast to change the future.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of theories. Some people might say, no, they just found the house that they were looking for.
They just got lucky or whatever, maybe.
Yeah. So that's all I've got. There is so much out there on time. We could do individual topics on all of these different things that we've talked about, and we may at some point in the future. But that's all I got.
That's all I have.
Have the outro?
I'm looking currently, trying to find one.
I do want to say right now, guys, for those of you who aren't our patrons yet, on Sunday, our After Dark series is going to be about summoning entities. And I am finding the research on this to be fascinating. Summoning demons, and that it's an After Dark topic. So definitely on the darker side. So
yeah. I haven't started my notes yet.
If you want to, it's so fascinating. And if you want to be able to hear that, then of course support us on either Patreon or Buzzsprout, and you will be able to hear it. I'm excited to do that one. It's coming out on Sunday.
I will preface and say we have been having some problems with our After Dark on Buzzsprout not connecting properly to its platforms like how it's supposed
I didn't know that.
We've had I think 2 people reach out to us. So if you are a Buzzsprout supporter, I think there has been some changes. Let us know if you're having any problems. And if you are, then I would just suggest signing up for Patreon. that's the only thing that I can do right now based on the knowledge that we have.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think if you also want to listen through Buzzsprout, that's also fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there has been some changes within Buzzsprout where there are some complications.
It's causing troubles.
Yes.
Okay.
So please let us know if you're also having problems like that. Because I know we're over here like, oh, it connects to your normal platform of where you listen. And if it does not, we would love to know if you're having any problems.
Yeah, because that's why people choose that option, is because
Yes.
you can just listen to it on your normal platform, Spotify, whatever.
Yes. And this has been something that has been raised to us just recently. Like, we haven't known about any issues in the past, but if this is a problem, let us know.
Okay.
And so that's where I'm going to try to not butcher the outro with my coughing. So you can find us on our website at www.c3witchypodcast.com. There you will find links to our episodes, our social medias, and our not live merch yet. We have currently...
We're working on it.
We are trying to do some sort of seasonal, but not seasonal.
Yeah, we aren't sure yet. We're working on different designs and saying no, yes, no.
Yeah, so stay tuned.
Yeah, to be determined. No,
to be determined.
Coming soon.
Coming soon. Whatever it may be. But once that is up, you will be able to find that at www.c3witchypodcastmerch.com. And then you can also please support us on Patreon or Buzzsprout, which I know we just said we're having some technical difficulties with Buzzsprout. You still will be able to listen through Buzzsprout. If you don't mind doing that, then that is the way to go. Mm-hmm. There are our subscriptions. You'll find our After Dark series. And then on Patreon, you get extra goodies like guided meditation, witchy to-do list, recipes, more. Mm-hmm. So I think that's it.
I think so too. So thank you for listening.
Yes.
We'll be back.
We'll be back.
And until then, stay witchy.
Woo.